All in favor? Voted unanimous. We are in public session. Stand for the pledge of
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Irving, will you introduce our basketball coach?
Superintendent Daly, Board of Education, thank you for your time tonight. I'm excited to introduce Coach LeFay. If he could please come up. We have three of our basketball players, Adam Williams, Andrew Newcomb, and Devin Payton.
Good job.
I'll have one of them hold this so I don't drop it when I'm talking. Thank you. All right, so it's my honor to introduce three of our basketball players from this year's Class AA Boys Basketball Sectional Champions. I'll have Coach LeFay speak a little bit about three players that are here and the larger team. I just want to point out a couple things before I forget. One, the last time we won a boys sectional title in 08, 09, two of our assistant coaches were student athletes at that time, Teddy Tuggles and Chad Dillard. So it's nice to have them back in the program and then helping our young men as they come along. And Coach Troy Olin was the coach of that team too. So there's a lot of boys basketball history in the room tonight. So I will turn it over to Coach LeFay to talk a little bit about our boys. And then, but before I do, because I almost forgot, I wanted to thank publicly Lieutenant Long for organizing after the victory on Victor's floor, which was nice winning in their place. That he organized Gates Ambulance, Gates Police, fire truck. They all came whistling down Buffalo Road, made a ton of noise, and we had a blast. So thank you very much for helping us with that. So Coach LeFay.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody at the Gates Charlotte community, all the faculty, the staff. Everybody's been absolutely fantastic to us the entire season. It felt like we had an entire arsenal of people behind us the entire way, and it really helped fuel us, and we appreciate all that. But I want to take just a second to talk about these three gentlemen standing up here. These guys are kind of special. They are our three award winners from this season. Andrew Newcomb, who's holding our AA championship, he was second team Monroe All-County, which is a heck of an accomplishment. And I just want to say a couple of quick things about Andrew. He did everything for us. I mean, he did everything. He rebounded. He scored when he had to. He kept all his teammates engaged. He handed the ball out. He got assists. He was phenomenal. When I say we talk about glue guys, right? He literally was the glue for our team this year. He did everything. And if you caught a game this year, you would see all the intangibles and things he did. So congratulations, Andrew, on a great season. Adam Williams. You guys don't know this, but AGR was announced, All Greater Rochester today. Adam Williams' first team, All Greater Rochester. This is the second time he's been elected to that honor. He was also first team Monroe County Division I. He was also Division I MVP. He had a heck of a season. So Adam averaged 20, 25, and 11 this year, which is ridiculous. He finished with over 1,200 points in his career, which that's another huge milestone. And then this gentleman right here, Devin Payton, he came out of nowhere this year. Right? Nobody knew where he was on nobody's radar. And he was probably our X factor and why we were so successful this year. He averaged like 16 points, 3 assists, 3 steals, and he was one of our best on-ball defenders. And you didn't know this till today, but he was also elected All Greater Rochester second team today. He was also first team in Monroe County. So, hats off to these three gentlemen who were the three most integral players on our team this year to help bring this championship home. But there were a bunch of other guys that were, pivotal to our success. And something, my highlight of my 16-year coaching career was being on that bus with all the streets blocked off, and we're all Facebook Live, and you can see the community sitting out there. So it was really something. We're still kind of riding high on it. I just want to say thank you to everybody in the community. We're blessed to be here. And sir, thank you for hiring me 2 years ago. Appreciate you.
I'd just like to, again, thank the boys that are here, thank the boys that couldn't be here tonight. We wanted to keep it to a minimum, obviously. And thank Coach Spade for making me look good 2 years into his young career here with Gage Skyline. We've almost spoiled him, so we're looking to come back and make another run. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to tenure. Oh, excuse me, GC private roads. Sorry.
Thank you, Board of Education and Superintendent Daly, for giving me this opportunity to acknowledge two members of the PPS department. The first member that I would like to acknowledge is Marion Prisciuti, in the back, so I'm going to ask her to walk on down. Marion Prisciuti is one of the most dedicated employees that I've had the privilege of working with. She's dedicated to the district, but most importantly, she's really dedicated to the PPS department. When people first learned that I was coming to work here in Gage Skyline, many of them asked if Marion Prisciuti still worked at the department. And I didn't know who Marianne was at the time, and they told me, if she's there, you'll do just fine. So I soon learned that that was absolutely true. I don't think there's many directors of PPS that have the luxury of having a clerical support person who knows as much about special education regulations as probably I do. And there are often times when a situation happens that it's a unique situation, and I think to myself, I really have to talk to Marianne about that one. And she's been a sounding board to all of the PPS administrators because of her history with the district, because of her knowledge of past practice. It really has been invaluable. She officially retired in November of 2020, but to the relief of all of the PPS department, me most especially, she decided to stay on as a part-time employee to help and support the department. In reality, I really think that Marianne would have contemplated retirement many years before, but she is focused on providing consistency. And before me, there were many directors, and since I've come, there's been retirement, there's been new people that came on board, there's been a global pandemic. And since all of those things occurred, she's stayed on maybe longer than she wanted to. But she has a great sense of humor, and her work ethic is unmatched. And for those reasons, I'm proud to present her with a GC Prize. I'm going to actually ask Marianne to stay up here while Kayla O'Connor comes on down, because it would be difficult to honor Marianne at this point without acknowledging and honoring Kayla O'Connor as well, because in a very short time, they become a powerful team in the PPS department. A few years ago, we had the opportunity to hire a new clerical support staff person in the CPSC office, and we were amazed that we were able to hire such a quality candidate as Kayla. It wasn't but a few days on the job that Kayla was on the job. She was working with Erin and Eugene, and I said to Erin, she's only going to be with you for a short time, and she's going to be working with me. Which Erin was okay with. She knew that she had a quality employee. Little did I know that Marianne and Kaylin would form a very close working relationship and become very close friends as well. In fact, I strongly believe that Marianne felt comfortable enough to finally commit to retirement because she has found her heir apparent in Kaylin. And that really is a resounding vote of confidence for Kaylin and her skills and ability. So it was natural that Kaylin should take over Mary Ann's role in the department when Mary Ann decided to retire, and in fact, the two have switched roles. In just a relatively short time, Kaylin has proven to be a vital member of the department. She's a dedicated employee and an incredibly quick learner. And I can say this for both Mary Ann and Kaylin. It actually is not surprising to me at all at this point when I email late at night or early in the morning, and within 10 or 15 minutes, I get an email back from them in response. To the point that I have to monitor myself when I send emails to these two, because I know that they'll respond back to me because they can't help themselves. So that just shows you how committed they are to the department and to the work that they do. Finally, I need to mention that we're down one clerical position in our department, and Kaylin willingly stepped up and has been taking on added responsibilities to cover for that position, as well as learning her own new role in the department at the same time. We greatly appreciate that. She's done this effectively, she's done it efficiently, and maybe most importantly, without complaint. So we're beyond fortunate to have these two individuals who are so dedicated and so hardworking as part of our team, and we're truly grateful for both of them.
I'm gonna step over here so I don't have to put my back to anybody. Erica Toe, would you please come up here and join me in the front? Right up here, please. Too many times, great kids keep doing great things that we certainly appreciate, but oftentimes do not recognize them enough. Erica Toe has had her hand in many things throughout her high school career, and in every situation, we have benefited from her contributions. She understands that through service, stewardship, and hard work, she can make a positive difference to those she is working with directly and to the greater Gates Child Learning community. Being the senior class principal, the other Mr. Hamill and Mrs. Bellotti selected Erica to read the morning announcements for the first semester for her cohort. When her time was complete, she offered to stay on to help the others and fill in when someone was out. During this time, several teachers let Mr. Hamill know that they appreciated the way that Erica presented the announcement and asked if she could stay on. Needless to say, she was back on the job immediately. Erica's a hardworking student, taking both honors level courses and dual credit courses throughout her 4 years, and has been a 4-year member of the varsity field hockey team. Mr. Marco, our economics teacher, stated that she's an excellent student, she's an all-around student who brought a great attitude and positive energy to every class. Erica asked thoughtful questions and added to meaningful, content-rich discussions. Mr. Marco also stated, don't let her soft demeanor fool you. She really turned it on during the class business competition and set a very competitive tone. Mrs. McAtee, our art teacher and high school yearbook advisor, added that Erica is an asset to the yearbook and has worked tirelessly for 4 years. She provides leadership and helps to guide and redirect other students when they're unsure of how to complete a task. And she said that she will be difficult to replace upon her graduation. One specific event or contribution doesn't jump out at me regarding Erica because she does everything like a Spartan should. Her overall attitude and approach to her work, her teammates, and peers sets her apart and is why we're recognizing her here tonight. As she moves on, attending MCC next year, I'm certain she will continue bringing her positive energy and leadership to her new community and continue to make the Gates Child Learning community proud as she always has. Please join me in recognizing and congratulating Erica Toe.
We'll take Mr. Hamill's example and swing over this way. Mrs. Visa is going to join me tonight in our recognition for GC Pride. So Mrs. Visa, would you like to start us off?
Well, good evening, Superintendent Bailey and Board of Education. It's my honor to talk to you about some women that have come to our school this year and really helped us out. We have 4 cafeteria monitors, one that is a full-time employee, and 3 that have been so loyal to us in coming to sub in and help us out. We have Sheila Lacasco, Diane Reed, Jan Murray, and Sarah Burkle. These women have come in every day with a smile on their face, no matter what. This has been a very unprecedented year, and we ask them to do anything and everything. And the amazing thing is they always come in with a smile. And I can be sitting at my desk, with paperwork piled up, and I look over and there's that smile. It's like a ray of sunshine. So, and I think probably, we've asked them to pack up our office because we're gonna be moving into a new wing. We've asked them to supervise children, to deliver lunches, whatever we ask, it's always done, and it's done well. And I think the most amazing thing is the relationships that you have formed with our children and with our staff. We thank you from the bottom of our heart for all that you've done for us. Thank you.
We're not done. Janine and I would like to welcome up 2 of our partners in the main office, our main office secretary, Deb Wagner, and our attendance clerk, Karen Lynch. Come on up, Deb. Come on up, Karen. We're honored to recognize both of these wonderful partners, wonderful women. Deb Wagner is the Neil Armstrong main office secretary. Now, under regular conditions, Deb holds the operational ship together for us. But I'll tell you, under current changing conditions, her skills have been most needed and appreciated. This year, we have adjusted and adjusted and adjusted. Deb has kept up. She's anticipated. She's done it all with a smile and an encouraging word for all that enter the main office. She's been a critical team member in identifying and assisting substitute staff member assignment needs in a year that feels like whack-a-mole with staffing needs that pop up daily. Deb's efforts and commitment have made a huge difference in the safe and efficient operations of Neil Armstrong. Deb joined us from the middle school, and we couldn't be more pleased. She's recognized, by the way, by her awesome seasonal costumes. You should have seen her on St. Patrick's Day. She's a valued partner, and on behalf of Janine and I, we're pleased to have this opportunity to celebrate Deb with the GC Pride Award. Janine and I are also honored to recognize Karen Lynch. Karen is the Neil Armstrong attendance clerk. She's a full partner of our main office team. She's the person that greets staff when they enter the main office and is often the face that greets parents at the door. Her skills with software and website applications are outstanding, and like her main office buddy, Deb, she too has adjusted and adjusted and adjusted. She's handled the changes to our attendance routines incredibly well, provided feedback and questions to assist us in adjusting those routines as we go. She's a compassionate voice on the phone when taking sometimes sensitive phone calls about attendance from parents. She's a member of our attendance team. She's the voice of the Tuesday happy birthday announcements. She is a Gates Chi grad herself. And on behalf of Janine and I, we are pleased to have this opportunity to celebrate Karen with the GC Pride Award. Oh, not That's right. No, Mitch will take care of it.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the 10-year celebration. Okay?
Becca's reprimanded me up here already, so we're off to a good start. Good evening, President Pensky, Superintendent Daly, members of the Board of Education, our tenure recipients, and your family and friends. Tonight it is my privilege to introduce our class of 2021 tenure recipients. This year's tenure class is large in number and in spirit. We have 29 faculty members being recommended for tenure this evening. In addition, we are recognizing our 4 recipients from this past fall, when unfortunately we were not able to celebrate in person. While not everyone can be here with us in person tonight, somebody had a baby, I guess, who couldn't make it. We hope that those who couldn't make it are tuning in on our live stream. Tenure is a major rite of passage for any teaching assistant, teacher, or administrator. It signifies not only employment security, but also the confidence that we as a district have in our tenure recipients. Our administrative team can attest to the fact that they have heard me say repeatedly in my time here that before you recommend a staff member for tenure, they should make you want to stand up and cheer each time you see them in action. This year, like no other, has made us want to cheer for all of our recipients. To say that they have gone above and beyond is an understatement. They have taught remotely, they've taught in person, they've taught synchronously and asynchronously, sometimes seemingly all at once. They've counseled students, they've counseled parents. They've made home visits and done food drives. They've become IT gurus and technology integration specialists. They forged relationships with students in some of the most difficult circumstances that we have as a district have collectively as a nation have ever experienced. They've done all of this with smiles and without complaint. They've put our students first time and time again, even when some of them have faced their own hardships. To put it simply, they've amazed us. I would like to congratulate this fine group of professionals on a job well done, and I would like to challenge all of our tenure recipients to remember this year for the rest of your career. Not that you're going to need a reminder about this year. Remember how you persevered. Remember how you stretched your edges and grew as an educator. Remember that you are capable of what you are capable of, and most importantly, remember the difference you make in the lives of our students. Now, if I could please ask Mrs. Scott to go behind the table, Mr. Potensky and Mr. Daly to go over by the stairs. Thank you. To our tenure recipients, as I call your name, please approach your building administrator, who will give you your tenure certificate. And then Mr. Daly and Mr. Potensky will give you your tenure pin. At that time, we're going to ask you to briefly go up onto the stage so that we can all organize. And then after everyone has been recognized, we're going to exit, go down the hall for some group shots and some photo opportunities, cupcakes and cookies. Sound like a plan? Okay. Nobody faint on me, please, because that's happened before. I promise this will be brief. Florence Brasser tenure recipients. Sarah Hall, special education. Amy Long, reading. Michelle Ritz, special education. And Brianna Williams, elementary education. I now ask for Armstrong to join us. Armstrong administration. Thank you. Cassidy Daly, reading. Lauren Henderberg, special education. Sean Johnson, special education. Brooke Marciano, elementary education. Danielle McLyman, reading. Emily Woods, special education. And Janine Bizon, assistant principal. If Paul Road, administration, please join. Kelly Clark, speech. Paul Adams, reading. Ryan Fitzgerald, elementary education. And Sean DeBrayu, assistant principal. I now ask for Walt Disney administration to join us. Michelle Donnelly, teaching assistant. Elizabeth Larder, library and media specialist. Michelle McCumber, elementary education. And Sarah Musino, assistant principal. I now ask for the middle school to please join us. You guys might have to switch now. Getting crowded up there with so many. Okay. Jill Gorski, social worker. Allison Kelly, special education. Dr. Chastity Murray, school psychologist. Angela Columbus, reading. Jacqueline Pratt, special education. Stephanie Saylor, math. Mary Pat Steiner, teaching assistant. Jessica Volpe, music. And Stephanie Hauser, special education. Ready to go, Mr. Hamel? Okay. Dan Mayer, special education. Janelle Kiefer, school counselor. Elhaj Mirage, ESL. And then some of our district level administrators. Chantal Zambito, coordinator of data and assessment. And finally, Jason DeJong, director of PPI. We could all please take a moment to give some additional recognition to our tenure class of 2021. And now if you can all please follow Eva, we'll take some more pictures of you. And your family or loved ones can join you for cupcakes, cookies, pictures, all of them. Congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Superintendent Daly, do you have any agenda changes for this evening? Thank you very much. Board President comments. I'm going to read something to you. Teachers, multitasking, educational rockstar, who lives to inspire and loves to encourage. Her kind of big deal. I want to say thank you. I want to celebrate our teachers' tenure. And I would also like to recognize the staff for continuing to endure and persevere during the whole time. Be assertive leaders, put students first, and help our students win. Thank you very much. And Board President comments, points of interest. Mr. Moscato. Hang on a second, Mr. Moscato.
The district had the opportunity to host 1,700 Desmond Beaks next Friday. We visited Grassler Middle School and walked to some of the construction sites. We felt it was very important to have our state reps really get to know us as individuals rather than just simply being on the consistency list. So we're still working on Mr. Connolly, our senator. We all are very happy, of course, with the budget pass, but we still have major issues we need to take up with our state representative. So we're going to continue to meet with them as well. And we're also having Zoom meetings with Congressman Morelli and the staff of Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand. So hopefully we can continue our advocacy, making sure they understand our needs and understand that we do need help someday and anything else. So thank you.
I had the opportunity, in the last couple days, to attend the senior day of boys volleyball, which was a very nice turnout, very nice recognition. End of a great season for them, wrapping up this week. Also senior night for the Gate Charlie football team and senior night for the Gate Charlie marching band, which also, again, beautiful night to celebrate it. It was a really nice night, but sad end to their time here at Gate Charlie.
Any other points of interest? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to report of meetings. Meetings to report.
I attended the Information Exchange Committee meeting last Wednesday. It was the last scheduled meeting of the year from our county school board association, although we are debating whether there should be another topic in May, depending on the interest in the time. The last meeting was focused on equity, and Greece School District present and Dr. Sean Fung present. They were both.
Any report meetings on this end? Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to visitor comments.
We have three.
Great. To be read in.
Yeah, one that I know is here is Mrs. Tara Carveroni.
Okay, before we begin, the Gate Charlie Central School District Board of Education invites public to comment at this time. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We ask that individuals state their name and address prior to comments and utilize the podium microphone to address the board. Although the board will not respond directly to the individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response or action. In order to comply with laws related to confidentiality, we ask that issues related to specific school district personnel or students be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately. The board reserves the right to terminate a speaker's comments if his or her comments are in excess of 3 minutes, are repetitive, or are not appropriate for discussion in an open public forum.
Tara Carveroni.
Okay.
6 Charlene Drive, Rochester, New York, 14606. If there ever was a time for districts to stand up to New York State and Monroe County, it is now. Instead of being leaders, districts beg for more state guidance, and what did they get? Further restrictions. Sorry, but what did they think they were going to get? If we do not take a stand, our children will continue to be suffering. This new norm is what complacency has brought us. For some of you, your children may be thriving with remote education. If so, that is fantastic. But do you really think the majority of children are being served by this new normal? If so, then carry on. If not, I encourage you to speak out for our youth. Our collective silence sure speaks volumes. Our incredibly vulnerable preteens and teens have been largely out of the classroom for over a year. This is the same group that has been experiencing a mental health crisis unlike any we have seen yet in our lifetimes. By all of a sudden tying the community positivity rate to whether or not teens can be fully educated, the state, Monroe County, and Gate Charlie Central School District have hung the public health of our community on our students grades 6 through 12, and it is egregious. Please enlighten us. What other group of individuals or businesses are being punished right now because of our high transmission zone? Our restaurants closed, businesses, sports, salons, travel restricted, colleges, nope. Nothing but secondary education. Well, why aren't we shutting down Monroe County if our rates are so high? Because there is minimal danger. Our elderly are vulnerable, our teachers are vaccinated. Our hospitalizations are a fraction of what they were this winter. Everything is under control, yet our incredibly low-risk teens continue to suffer. Where is the equity in that? How is this okay? It is despicable to hold the health, education, and future of our teens over the heads of our community. It reeks of coercion and forced compliance with state agendas. It's a close cousin of forcing vaccination on children. You want your teens taken care of and educated, we'll just vaccinate them and we'll put them back in school, we promise. And for the record, you can believe in vaccinating yourself and your kids and still understand how messed up this tactic is. Remember Gates Child, the guidance itself states the state doesn't approve reopening updates. So use this guidance as you see fit and come up with a plan that works for all of Gates Child, taking into account all factors, not just COVID-19. Be strong and courageous. Serve Gates Child and stand up for children. Caring needs to be more than a tagline. One can see in your actions and inaction how little the Gates County Central School District cares for children in grades 6 through 12. Grades 6 through 12 lives matter too. Please open our schools to in-person education. It is beyond time to do so. Is Tara Beals here? Okay, I will read hers in. From 274 Hinchy Road. I am the parent of 3 children in the Gates Child School District. I am excited for my elementary children. Their nightmare is scheduled to be over this Thursday. However, I am unimpressed by the work that was given to them from Monday through Wednesday. For my 7th grader, the torture continues. She has a 504 that is not being followed and she struggles daily. At the U.S. Holocaust Museum, there's a quote published. First, they came for the socialists and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me and there was no one left to speak for me. I can easily make some substitutions in that poem to show the harm New York State, Monroe County, and the Gates Child Central School District has imposed on our children. First, Gates Child shut down the school and I did not speak out because there was a pandemic and I thought it was temporary. Then they allowed some students to return and I did not speak out because my children were given the chance to return 2 days a week and I thought it was temporary. Then they said children would be returning 4 days a week and I did not speak out because I figured 4 days is better than 2. Then my child, my 7th grader, was denied education. There was no one left to speak for me. Gates Child Board of Education, I respectfully ask you to open our schools for students for in-person learning for all grade levels. Please speak for the students and families that you claim to represent. Many schools in New York State, big and small, public and private, are in person. If it was really New York State standing in the way of education, no other schools would be open for in-person instruction. Schools districts have more authority and power than our leaders choose to acknowledge. All students have the right to in-person learning. Respectfully, Tara Beals, mother of 3 struggling kiddos who just want to learn and grow. Cheryl Wright.
Thank you for having me tonight. I want to first extend congratulations to all the tenured teachers. That's a huge accomplishment and I'm very proud of them. Especially our Walt Disney School teachers that we know very well. And I have a middle schooler with me tonight as well who has just started, obviously, part-time at the middle school, but knows at least one of those teachers as well. Is very excited to get back to learning. Of course, that is why we're here tonight to speak out about our choices. And, you know, I understand that hands are tied. I understand that certain things are not the board's decision, which thank you to the board for volunteering your time. It's a huge commitment and a huge undertaking that you guys have had fall upon your lap this year as well. I can't even imagine how you're holding up or holding things together as a single mother with 2 children, being not only a teacher, but also a student, because I don't know how to do half of the stuff that I'm supposed to help my kids learn. I get it, I totally get it. I also work in a restaurant, so I've been through the physical and emotional struggles that my children have been through as well this year with opening, closing, takeout, dine-in, outdoor seating in the middle of winter. I mean, just the ups and downs of this year are incredible, overwhelming. Just the double standards are what I cannot just keep quiet about. It's the double standards that our state compared to other states, our country compared to other countries. I mean, I don't know a better way to say it other than to use my soccer team as an example. My 5th grader plays on my soccer team for travel. My 6th grader plays on my soccer team for travel. They show up at practices and they work their butts off. And then my 5th grader is now allowed to go to school, but my 6th grader cannot. But she's still expected to show up at practice and do her best and go online and try to do her best that way. And it's a real struggle. And we just want to make sure we as a community, we as board, we as teachers, we as coaches, we as everybody can make a statement and say that this isn't right anymore. And it needs to come to an end at some point. And I'm not expecting instant results. None of us have for over a year. The up and downs are getting out of control. And I'm becoming nauseous on a roller coaster that does not end. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Moving on to reports. Capital project report.
Good evening. Superintendent, board members, board president. Page 1.5, you have in front of you. Page 1.5, auditorium project. Some of you toured a week or so ago. Things are moving along nicely. We're completed. Back stage piping is 95% complete. Started pouring the concrete seating, which is taking that inside seating area and putting it in shape. Demolition in the old auditorium, that when this was made, the report was made 20% complete. We're probably like 90% complete by now. And the catwalks up top are complete, and that's a pretty good view if anybody's like a tour, give me a call. I'd like to take you guys up there. We're projected in April. Masons have started laying brick and will continue laying brick for most of the summer. The outside of your building is 50% comprised of brick, so they'll be out there for a while. Ductwork is ongoing. Roofers are on site, will be on site for probably 3 more months, they're just doing detail work. As metal, trimming things out, but the whole entire building is weathertight now, watertight from the roof. Material, our melt stud framing and drywall is ongoing. In the auditorium, whole auditorium demolition is still ongoing, but pretty much complete by now. Interior painting will actually start next Monday, which is a good thing, starting finishes. Some pictures. On the stage looking towards the east. So you're looking right out towards the new parking lot, out towards the softball field out there. You can see that piece of red steel about halfway up on the picture right there. Your seats elevate up to that location. So you're standing on the stage, and that's the elevation, that's the angle of the seats going up through there, which on the stage is a different look. As David probably tested as he was out there the other day. The lower pictures, foundation walls, them are actually holding up your seating, and there'll be storage underneath. You can see a little door going in. There's air chambers and storage underneath there for everybody to use. The other 2 pictures are just more of the lower seating, and then out in the lobby, all the mechanical piping runs down to that lobby hallway. That phase is
on schedule as of now and under budget with no foreseeable impacts. Any questions on the auditorium? 1.62 elementary schools. We pretty much come to a stop at Walt Disney. We turned over the new wing, they moved in. I've been in contact with Sarah back and forth. She wants to get the kids in for a week and a half, so we've scheduled like a May 3rd start date on the other renovations, giving them time to get kids back in, and if that's not working, we'll postpone as long as she wants, but she's kind of driving the ship on that, and everybody's perfectly fine, let's get the kids back in there. The work going on, and I'm just gonna skip through this, work going on Neil Armstrong, we're projected in the next 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, to turn that over to them too in that wing, and we'll do the same thing with Lisa. If she wants us to just wait, or if she wants to get a couple more weeks under her belt, we'll do whatever they want and then take over the other area. Even if we wait, the schedule was always to be 100% done at both of them elementary schools by the 1st of September. We've got to jump on things, we were hoping to turn everything over maybe July 1st. Even if we wait, everything still will be done and completed, maybe not punch list, but everybody will be in their spaces by September 1st. So there's no harm in waiting. This year we'd rather make everybody happy in their spaces, right? So whatever it takes, we're good with it. The site work at Walt Disney will be, they're getting all new parking lots, so that will be the biggest focus exterior wise this summer, and that can start anyways. Then we have some pictures. Office staff moved in at Walt Disney, seem to be happy. And that's looking down the corridor back at the Disney emblem. And then the other 2 pictures are at Neil Armstrong, and you can see the exterior work is ongoing, and their main office is pretty close at that point in time. Anybody have any questions for either one of them? Building? Nothing? Nothing at all? Have a good night. Thanks.
Use the word under budget, not.
It's 6 under budget also, so. There you go. Did it for 5, so it's said. Very much. Moving on to the social studies teacher presentation.
Hello. Thank you, Superintendent Bailey and the board. My name is Lizzie Lamart, and I am the 612 curriculum leader here at Gates Chadai, and we are here tonight to present to you the ongoing work that social studies has done. And just to begin, 2020, 2021 has been definitely a year for history. We're never going to forget. As a department, we have been working hard to make sure that our kids are learning, whether they're at home or in person. And we would just really like to share with you some of the struggles that we've seen this year, as well as most of our, or all of our successes that we've had this year. As a department, we really come together to not only deal with this pandemic, but also to continue rolling out the standards that New York State has changed for social studies. We're gearing up for that new field of civic readiness. And most importantly, we're just hoping that our kids can remember 2020, 2021 as a con year for social studies. And so what we have right now is just a little PowerPoint, and we're going to kind of break it up by grade level. So the elementary will go first, and then the
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Larkin. I teach 5th grade at Florence Grasser. Hi, how's Fred? Oh, that's not yet. Sorry. If we could go to, do I have this? Okay, so as Lindsay said, we'll be talking about the successes, the struggles, and then how has the social studies instruction changed this year. So talking about social studies in the elementary program, we have smaller class sizes this year, which is amazing. It's led to more in-depth conversations, students asking more questions, increased participation. We've really streamlined and focused the standards because of the time constraints. We got together and pulled together a list of priority standards for teachers to focus on this year in elementary to help them kind of get through as much curriculum as possible. There's been more technology-based lessons using Schoology, Nearpod, Seesaw, making tons of videos on Screencast-O-Matic. Stuff like that, and then more performance-based assessments also due to those smaller class sizes. So they've been able to make PowerPoints, have debates, creating maps, creating murals to show their knowledge on new civilizations, stuff like that. We've incorporated, also, due to the time constraints, it's been cool to incorporate social studies into some of the new ELA curriculum, and kind of do a 2-for-1 there. And then there's been an increase in teacher collaboration across the district for common learning experiences. There's common shared OneNotes that teachers have put resources in, common shared Schoology courses where people can, create their lessons, and they can all pull from those digital resources to help the students learn. Thank you, Katie. Good evening, I'm Christine Campbell, and I am the content leader at Walt Disney School for Social Studies, and I also took on a new position this year. I'm an academic intervention provider for literacy after 27 years teaching all of the grade levels, K through 5. This has been a really great year despite the challenges, which is why I think that I have to talk to you about the struggles. Katie was so positive, which is great, and we have had a lot of positives throughout everything. But as you can imagine, there's been some struggles along the way. One of the biggest struggles we faced this year was the time constraint and the limitation with the hybrid schedule. The day didn't get any longer, so we still only had the day. The day is the day. And unfortunately, for us in the social studies department, we had to take a little bit of a step backward because we had a brand new math program that was rolled out this year, and as well as a brand new word study program that was rolled out this year, as well as a revised ELA curriculum. So we had to kind of be creative, and most of the live lessons done in school were surrounding ELA math. And the social studies concepts were put forth on video, as Katie talked about, screencast-o-matic lessons, and on the async days, which led to some other challenges as well. We didn't have the participation from all students every day on their asynchronous days. And that was a challenge when they came back to try to catch them up with what they had missed on the day they weren't with us. So there was a lot of reteaching, and that, that's just the way it had to be because of the situation they're in. But along with that, technology can be our best friend, as you all know, and it can also be our worst enemy. And that was so true this year as well. We would set up these awesome lessons and tape and record and try to bring the kids right into the classroom, and we'd have an issue, or one student would have an issue with the technology, and then we'd have to back up and try to, so it's a constant juggle, but again, the technology piece can be our friend and our enemy. One of the things we found to be a challenge as an elementary teacher is to take a lesson that you would do live in small groups, cooperative learning, differentiated, students who speak a second language, and try to figure out a way to put that into a computer in a way that they could not only understand but access, which leads to the last challenge was as much as our families, hats off to you, thank you, we can't do this without you. There were just some families that couldn't sit with their child all day to help them with technology at K-5. So that was a challenge in itself. We had some little kiddos who were really trying to do all of this on their own, and for some it didn't work. So I'm going to turn it over to Amy, who's going to brighten things back up again, because there is a light. I promise. We know there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Hi, I'm Amy Denny. I'm the socialist content leader at All Road. I also teach 3rd grade. So I'm talking about how social studies instruction has changed. So the first thing is the smaller class sizes have resulted in more discussions and interactions. We're able to maybe get more in-depth, than when we have a larger class. More technology-based lessons to meet the 21st century learner. As Chris just said, we did try to take advantage of the technology and really forced us to find different ways to get the social studies materials across to the children. More performance-based assessments. There's one up there right now that's just something that my students did about children's rights. So I would do things like that. Sometimes it would be for home, sometimes it would be at school. And then we've begun to incorporate more culturally responsive texts and lessons, just integrating the ELA, as was mentioned before, a lot of the time with what we were doing in social studies. So for human rights, for example, I read Who is Malala, so the kids, I tried to teach when I was doing narrative nonfiction to incorporate some of those texts into my lessons. Fourth and fifth grades have begun to incorporate scaffolded skills to higher level thinking and preparation for secondary reading and writing tasks as well. So Katie, I think it's back to you. No, it's not. Oh, okay, sure.
Hi everyone, I'm Sherry Scoto and I am the department leader at the middle school. So thanks for having us tonight. Certainly when Stacy, who is the, Burnett is the department leader at the high school, we asked our department to give us their input on successes and struggles. In fact, we were opening ourselves up for quite an interesting conversation. But I have to say that at the middle school, we've had quite a bit of success, and at the high school, going paperless. I think that actually we were glad to see that in the classroom a little bit more with the technology. Schoology is certainly our friend, except not today. So Schoology went down today, but definitely we were ready because we had things in place when that happens. It was unfortunate for our kids that were live, but we did email things and got things up quickly. But Schoology has been certainly a success. A good connection with members of the department. We do a lot of sharing, which is always good. We have a couple of teachers that are especially good at Schoology. For me, Wendy Taylor would be my go-to girl, because she's really good. For some of us older people, teaching little dogs and tricks with this technology, I have come a long way, believe me, so I'm kind of proud of myself in that way. The department also wants to give a shout out to the coaches, Crayola, of course, and Mike Munski, Chris Ainsbury. Literally, I don't think they sleep because they answer our emails at 10 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock in the morning, and on Saturday and Sunday. So thank God for them. Live streaming did start out a little shaky, but I think it's going great. I personally, in my 7th and 8th grade, have sometimes more kids on my screen than I do sometimes in the classroom, which is fun. They actually did a presentation the other day and they got to present from home, and we made their PowerPoint soldiers. So I think that the kids who are participating on the screen do feel very much like they're part of the classroom. So I hope as we move into the lesson, our future is more of that. Remote Wednesdays obviously have been not only godsend for the teachers for planning, but it does give us a great opportunity with the office hours to use one-on-one. The 4-day week for our special ed and E&L kids has definitely been a success. And definitely the 40-minute classes have seen we would like to see 50 minutes, 40 goes by fast, but the everyday seeing the kids' daily schedule has certainly been a success. All right, what did you guys There we go. All right, struggles, certainly the involvement of our virtual learners. When the kids are hybrid in front of us, on their Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday, they do a phenomenal job. Sometimes they forget that they also have to do work at home on the opposite days. So reaching the students for additional help, we did just start at the middle school, and we have 6 schools after school, which has been great. We have a cohort of kids who now can stay after school for extra help, and ability to bring some of them in at the lunchtime too has been
Struggle of building relationships. I teach 7th and 8th, so haven't met all of my 7th graders. Last year I had the opportunity, of course, of having my 8th graders. So the relationship building has been difficult for teachers as well. Students being held accountable. Obviously, we have students that have been very successful, but we also have students who are struggling with failing. And we do at the middle school and high school also have kids who are responsible for the elementary kids, their younger siblings. So there are times that we don't start to get work from kids until 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. And so I think that's been a struggle for some of our middle and high school students as well. We do struggle getting a 50% quarter average. We do have students that legitimately have 0. So it's been difficult to convey that and have to give 50% when we actually are not producing. So that is a struggle. Instructing classes hybrid and remote can become increasingly difficult. Obviously, we were hoping as well to have come back to this week, but the lesson plan is not good. So I'm going to turn it over to Stacy.
Hi, I'm Stacy Burnett. I am the department leader for the high school. I'm going to talk a little bit about how our instruction has changed and hopefully what we'll see as we move forward. Pacing of instruction obviously has slowed down due to having less days per week in terms of synchronous learning. We are trying to also, get as many kids, to follow along with us as possible. As Sherry said, go paperless for some of us who have been, kind of in that group for a long time. The technology, having to use it, has pushed a lot of us toward going that new direction. And we'll see how that goes from here, but I assume that many of us will stay that way. More flexibility, providing more opportunities for kids to maybe turn things in late. And I have seniors in particular, and normally this time of year is kind of senioritis time to begin with, and this year it's been accentuated even more. So being more flexible, offering more opportunities, giving them extra time has really been something we've been doing a lot of. Having more authentic learning assessments, trying to, as we talked before, taking those lessons that you've done and trying to put them on a computer can be tough, so we're trying to find new ways to convey the information. We're going to start to do more of the cultural responsive inquiries at the high school, in the middle school, as well as elementary. Those are being created by BOCES, and we're looking forward to incorporating those. The pathway to the seal of civic readiness we've been talking about, and we're getting more information about that. And so we're eager to see where that takes us as a department, especially at the high school where they take dynamics of citizenship, which is something that kind of goes directly with that particular pathway. So we're eager to see where that takes us. And considerable strides in writing. We're trying to incorporate those skills and continue to work with those skills with our students for social studies.
I think most importantly, to kind of just recap for our social studies development over the last couple of years, is that we as a department, K-12 really, have worked hard to build this bridge from elementary to high school with our goal of creating students that are college career readiness. We want them to be good citizens when they leave Gates Child. We want them to look fondly upon social studies, and we've really worked hard from kindergarten on, a lot of days in the summer, a lot of sharing across the different buildings. And I think in terms of our presentation, we started this, making it back in February, and I don't want to be all rainbows, but I really do think a lot has changed even in the last couple weeks. Like Sherry was saying, that sometimes there's more kids online virtually learning than there are in my group. Like today I had 3 kids, it looks like there's nobody in the room. I have 3 kids, but then I had 7 online. So, it is working, and as we are getting more experience with it, it is working, and I think kids are buying into it more now that they're kind of realizing who knows how long this is going to last. And so compared to September to now, we've made great strides both for teachers and students, and it's not ideal, it's not how we want it to be, that's not why we became a teacher, but I do think it's getting better, and maybe it's that light at the end of the tunnel for the school year. But I do think overall as a district in social studies, we've really kind of grown and improved and feel better. And I often think like each day, something goes wrong every day. I couldn't even, whether it's personally at home or, when you get to work, something happens wrong every day. And I always think about, not to put him on the spot, but Penn Hamill one time said, we have to have grace and understanding. And I kind of start my days with that. I try to remind myself at the end of the day that we have to have grace and understanding. And I think as a department and I think as a district, we've done that for our kids. And I think we're going to continue to do it. And I think it's just going to continue to be challenging and difficult for a while. But I do think that we've had a positive year, even if it has not seemed that way in terms of, masks and not covering it, that hand sanitizer, all that. So, thank you. Are there any questions?
No, you're not allowed to ask, we have to stay late.
I want to see my kindergartner. He went for the first day yesterday, and he said to me, "Mom, I hand sanitized like 1,000 times."
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you all very much for your report. Moving on to future project planning.
It's not working? Okay, thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Daly and distinguished Board of Education. I'm here to talk about future capital project planning, something I'm really excited to be talking about because capital projects are a passion of mine. They really help improve opportunities for students, improve spaces for staff to work in. And so this is something that I really enjoy talking about, and it's one of my favorite parts of the job. So moving on to the agenda. That's moving, that's not. Okay, so we'll start with current project updates. I wanted to note that current project updates. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about our current project and our financial tracking. Currently, we're tracking on budget. We're actually performing better than budget. Within a capital project budget, we have contingency monies that are set aside. And those contingency monies are for things like if you were to find some asbestos in the space and you needed to abate it, or if you were to find something in the ground when you're digging and you're about to build foundations. Sometimes you find dry wells or other unknown conditions that you have to remedy. And so typically a project will have a good amount of contingency built in, so that if you run into those problems, you won't have to go back to the public and ask for more money. And so we did have some contingency built into this budget. And through that contingency process, we now have some money left over because we didn't find a lot of things. We didn't find a lot of asbestos. We didn't find a lot of unknown conditions. And so we have a little over $1.5 million left over in the $68 million project, which is pretty typical if you're tracking on budget. You don't have any of those major things occur. And so as both a finance facility and audit committee, as an architecture and construction manager committee, we've been talking about what are some of those things that were part of the original scope of the project before final approval. And one of those things that we've been talking about is the parking lot in front of the track and the football field that we were originally going to put into place that didn't end up getting pulled into the project. And so right now we're getting pricing on that, but it does look like it's going to be favorable, and we're going to be able to put that parking lot in. And potentially, in addition to that, be able to build the fence that would have gone around the whole complex so that we can secure the whole both stadium and track complex when we do events in the future, whether it be sectionals or a state meet. So those are two things that we're getting pricing on, and it looks like we're likely going to be able to do. And then the other one that we've been talking about significantly is the Neil Armstrong student drop-off area. Currently, the front bus loop has parents driving into that as well, and visitors driving into that bus loop. And that's a bit of a safety concern. And so what we've been talking about is connecting where the back road, which was at one point called Farson, I believe, the back road into Neil Armstrong, where staff typically park. What we're talking about is connecting that little spur to that parking lot that the visitors currently park in, because that's where the new main entrance is going to be. So essentially what will happen is parents will be able to come in there, drop their kids off, loop back out, and go back out into the Wagner Road, versus buses and cars creating an unsafe and dangerous situation in the front bus loop at times. So those are the two things that we're working on and likely we'll be able to do as part of the current project. If we continue to track on budget, there may be a couple other smaller items we're able to do as well. So just wanted to update the board on that. Future project planning. So why not? So in the last project, phase 1A, there was originally a larger scope built into that project. So right now we have a $68 million project going on. Originally it was about $100 million. And through the process of conversation, it was determined that the district should start trimming that down. I wasn't here for that process, but I was able to meet with Mr. Daly, the architects and the construction managers, and kind of go over what were those things. And so we now have an understanding that there are some things that likely will need to get pulled forward into future projects. We know that we're doing the building condition survey right now that has to be done every 5 years. And so through that process, we're going to be able to look at all of our facilities and determine what are the needs for the future, what are our areas of opportunity to make sure that our buildings are safe and secure. And then review of spaces. We've currently just been reviewing our spaces, and we know that there's needs. We know there's things that need to be addressed, and we'll talk about what our process has been to collect that data in a minute. We also have planned and saved for this, so I'll talk about that as well. This has always been part of the plan. The public approved capital reserve in 2018 in order to save money for future project work. And then frankly, it's a long process. So we'll talk about that. It's about a 5-year process from when you first start talking about a project to when you put the final stamp of approval on it, once it's all done and complete. So that's why we're having the conversation now. It's time to start having the conversation. So our early planning philosophy is to collect input through the 5-year building condition survey, Board of Education staff, students, and community members in order to provide healthy and safe learning environments that protect and enhance programming and services while reducing or significantly limiting the impact on future years' local tax levy. That's a mouthful, but that's really our philosophy as we move forward. And those are the things we're trying to do. So, capital project timeline. Right now, what we're talking about, what I'm talking about tonight, is the pre-referendum portion of a project. And so referendum is when we put a vote out to the public so that they can either approve or deny capital work. And so right now we're talking pre-referendum. It takes about 6 months to gather Board of Ed, staff, student, and community input, select the architect and construction manager. We're actively doing that right now. Determine the scope and cost of the project. And then it takes about 5 months to do a seeker process, which is when you have to look at everything entailed within the project and determine what kind of impact it will have and potentially do studies surrounding that, and then get through the legal process that we have to do to put out a public referendum. Then you go to the public referendum, then you go into pre-construction, which design takes about 6 months, then state approval takes approximately another 7 months or more. At one point it was as far out as almost 1.5 years. It's been as short as 3 months. So that's an average, depending on how many projects are up at state ed that need approval in facilities planning. And then 4 months for bidding. So we go through a bidding process. We have to prepare all of those documents and select various firms to do the work. And then we get into construction, which can take anywhere from 16 to 24 months or more. And then we have project closeout, where we have to file forms, and then we do an 11-month inspection at the end, where we go back and we inspect all of that work before the warranty is up, which is typically 1 year of warranty for work. So total timeline is about 5 years. It's a long process. So for us, what we've done so far when thinking about a future project is
In November and December, we had the Educational Environment Cultural Assessment, which was done through SWBR, an architectural firm, where they came in and met with staff and did group interviews to talk about our spaces and where we can find areas for improvement. We had initial discussions in January with the Finance Facility and Audit Committee. And then on February 1st, Chris and I, or Mr. Daly, and I met with architects to review Phase 1A. And so we talked about all the things that were on that list for Phase 1A that didn't get added in this last project. And then in March, Mr. Daly and I met with the principals and did building tours in each one of the buildings. And so we sat down with the principals and we said, what are your needs and what are the things that you would want if you were able to do it in the future? So really started collecting a lot of data and documenting that so that it'll help inform decisions as we move forward. So when thinking about spring, the RFP finalization will occur, request for proposal. So that right now we're in the process of interviewing architects and construction managers. And then we're going to get results from the building condition survey, hopefully by mid to late May, initial results. The final results, the document that has to be provided to state ed will be out in mid-June, but we're hopefully going to have some initial results in mid to late May. And then we're going to need community input. And so Mr. Daly and I have started having conversations about what that community input will look like. Likely be forums, more information will be coming in the future weeks. And then from there, Board of Education review, the stamp of approval for however we're going to move forward. And then scope and cost finalization. So really we need to determine what's going to be included in the project, that's the scope. And then the cost is how much it costs. So then in summer, fall of 2021, where we'll be looking for is to start that secret process, the environmental review. Then we'll talk with the bond counsel and school attorney on all the legal things that we need to do, and then we'll execute contracts for professional services. We'll do legal publications and have public information sessions. And so really, ideally, we look to have a public vote on December 7th of this year. This is just a brief timeline, but it shows, going from July of this summer going all the way out until 25, 26. That's how long the timeline is. It's very long. So financial status, I wanted to update the board on our capital reserve. Currently we have the capital reserve that was approved in 2018 to fund future work. It's funded right now at $9 million. It can be funded to $10 million, which we anticipate it will be at the end of this fiscal year. We have an aid ratio of about 81%. And so therefore, based on the fact that we'll have $10 million in reserves, we can have a construction value of about $26 million based on what we know today. It's just an estimate. It's based on our aid ratio now. It's based on how much of our project we think will be aidable, because all work in a project is not aidable. So we think that it'll be about $26 million approximately. So immediate next steps are to finalize that RFP, get some initial scope recommendations, start having some public input and community forums, do cost estimation, and then determine final scope. So with that in mind, are there any questions on capital planning or where we're going right now currently with conversations surrounding future capital work? Not yet? That's good.
Sorry.
Was a resounding not yet?
Okay.
And thank you very much. If you'd like to bring it out, timeline, you folks, is
Wonderful. Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so the next update is the budget update. Real briefly, the board met to have a study session regarding the budget. And so right now you should be receiving a one-pager on the budget proposal. I don't have a lot to review right now because we've already reviewed most of this. Well, I wanted to note that the proposal that we're talking about in the propositions for tonight are asking for $817,882,045 for a 2021-22 budget, which is a 3.93% increase over the prior year. So that is on the agenda for tonight for approval. Are there any questions about the budget specifically?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. That'll be posted on the website as well. Yes.
Things about showing budget updates.
Oh, thank you. A bit of budget.
Good.
Yeah, it's my first time, but luckily I have a good coach and Mrs. Petrosino, so she's been helping me along the way.
And the best is yet to come here.
Yeah, best is yet to come. I have a lot of work, but I am the talent, so I have to, make sure I'm taking care of myself. Yes. Are we doing reports of meeting?
I think so. So, moving on to, reports of meetings. I think.
That's me, right? Okay, so the Finance Facility and Audit Committee, we had a meeting on March 15th. That meeting started at 5 p.m. Miss Sally Sanford, the treasurer, and myself did an update on the internal audit recommendations, noting that the Bonadillo group would be in to present on April 19th, which was yesterday. We did an independent audit update. We talked about the selection of the firm for the independent audit, which is EFPR Group. So we did an RFP for independent audit, and EFPR Group was selected. From a facilities perspective, we talked about updating the architectural and construction management requested proposals. We talked about the process that we would be undertaking in order to select an architect and construction manager. We talked about the tent requirements and the fact that we'll likely be having tents installed on district property in order to have events. We talked about vehicle wrap. I don't know if you've noticed yet, but there's some of our vans, we've had them wrapped with language asking for potential employees. So, come work at Gates Child, go to this link. So we're doing that because we're able to get aid on it through the transportation unit because we're asking for bus drivers. We also talked about future project planning, and then architect Joe Kosoric from SWBR gave a presentation on the educational environment cultural assessments. Then I did a budget update and talked about the budget ambassadors. We talked about federal funding. We talked about PPE purchases and purchase of desktop shields. Those were delayed slightly, but they did arrive today and are being installed at the elementary schools, which is great news. We did an update on personnel and an application specialist that we will be looking to hire over the next couple of months to help implement some of our internal systems. And that's it. The meeting ended at 6:26.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you.
I do not have the report on safety meeting.
Well, we basically celebrated George English's last meeting. We talked about where we were with reopening in different buildings and talked about the different drills that were required this year that we were going to meet and exceed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Policy committee update. Policy committee update. Who wants the microphone? Right?
We met and we discussed several policies, some were minor revisions, board meeting procedures, for example, we updated it to include consent agenda. The school safety plan was updated, we had a major revision for sexual harassment, speaking of all students. There were probably 9, 10 policies that we reviewed, they'll come to the board later for approval. Then we had annual reviews of grouping of students, preschool special education. These are ones that we are required to review on an annual basis. If you can get any change in any of these, below standards. Anybody else on the committee want to add anything? No? Okay, thank you.
Nice, so kudos on that one. Moving on to discussion item 2021-22 Board of Education Public Meeting Schedule.
We've been input from the board previously, we did update the reorg, date, but then that remains the same. That was the one input that was given to me previously, so this will be for that.
Any other discussion on that item? No. Moving on. Motion to approve the consensus agenda. A motion, please. Mr. Wong and Amy, Coffee. I know you were skating, right?
I appreciate the effort.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous, thank you very much. Moving on, motion to approve the
Yeah, you're in a second.
motion to approve consent items C through D. Dr. Richards and Gary Price. Questions or comments? All in favor? The vote is unanimous, very much. Ms. Parada? And by the way, I just want to read everybody in. I usually miss this, so Ms. Parada does a very good job of cluing me in.
So we just want to acknowledge our retirees under the personnel actions tonight. We have 3 retirees. Diana Sachs, who has served as a driver with the district. She received a GC Pride Award at our last meeting. She'll be retiring. She's been with us for 31 years. Marla Giannieri, I always screw that up, has been a teacher aide with the district for 15 years, and she will be retiring at the end of the school year as well. And then Bobby Hunter, who's been a cleaner with us for almost 18 years, will be retiring as well. So we wish them all luck and thank them for their service and hope that they enjoy their retirement.
Thank you very much. Moving on, 2021-22 school budget. Motion to approve 2021-22 Board of Education proposed budget. Motion, please. Ms. Kies and Andy Bailey. Questions or comments? All in favor? Excuse me?
I
Yes.
want to thank Dr. Ball for your explanation of the budget
Excuse
every
me.
year. Thank you, Dr. Ball, for your explanation of the budget. Every year it gets easier for us to hear it again and again, but you just have a way of breaking it down to understand the term. That this is probably the best stretch we've had of it.
And as we are streaming, I want to exhort both to everyone that's out there to look for the resources that Dr. Bull and his team are putting out on the website. If you have any questions about the budget, the budget process, and the budget cycle, there's a lot of resources that are being created that are very clear, very helpful, and to Carrie's point,
been probably the clearest way that the budget has been presented. For as long as I've been in the Gates Child District, and that's been 20 years. So everyone out there, if you have any questions, go to the resources first, and then reach out to anyone that you need to.
Pardon the interruption, I would just like to say that it's really the communications and business office team as a whole that has been able to provide such a great service in communicating the budget this year. So thank you and kudos to them.
Congratulations and job well done. Thank you very much. Other questions and comments? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the terms and conditions of employment for the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Labor Relations, effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Motion, please. Ms. Coffey and Mr. Long, questions or comments? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the terms and conditions of employment for Assistant Superintendent for Business, effective July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. Motion, please. Dr. Richards and Ms. Cox, questions or comments? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Douglas Agar as Interim Director of Facilities commencing on April 29th, 2021. Motion, please. Ms. Coffey and Ms. Unson, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Approval of the authorization for medical examination pursuant to Section 913 of Education Law. Motion, please. Ms. Coffey and Mr. Long, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the Latin honor system as previously discussed on March 23rd, 2021. Motion, please. Ms. Coffey and Mr. Long, questions or comments? Ms. Geis?
I don't have an issue with the Latin honor system in general, but I do have some questions about the weighted versus unweighted. I know the county on the back side of things, but I really worry about not taking a weighted value of discouraging kids from taking the risk of going into the AP and honors classes. And I know that is something that they really consider right now when they enroll for those classes for their future college credits and their GPA.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? And carry your no. So all yes except Ms. Kais, which is a no. You good? Okay. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the 2021-22 Board of Education public meeting schedule. Motion, please. Ms. Unson and Ms. Coffey, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES administrative budget for $8,362,132 for the 2021-22 fiscal year. Motion, please. Dr. Richards and Ms. Cox, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to vote on the Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES board candidates. Motion, please. Dr. Richards and Ms. Unson, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to superintendent comments.
Thank you, sir. I want to congratulate all our tenured staff this evening. It's a major milestone for teachers. Congratulations on making it thus far. Continued improvement will make our district better each day going forward. My athletics updates, and maybe getting cold and wet outside tonight and into snow tomorrow. I've only received 3 tweets asking for a snow day already on a remote day, which is interesting. But it's time for spring sports to begin. And they started yesterday with our varsity and JV. Football, volleyball, and cheer are overlapping with the last week of events. Last night we won the battle at Chi-Line, which was nice, and our marching band got to get out there as well, so a great night for Gates, Chi-Line, all around. And our modified teams in the spring will start on April 26th. Seniors are being recognized by their coaches and fans, and this past Saturday, our volleyball and Monday's football game. Marching band also celebrated their seniors on Monday night. And again, congratulations to Coach Benham and the football team for winning the battle of Chi-Line last night. Real exciting today. The Democratic Chronicle recognized an immense number of our Spartan winter athletes with all grade roster honors. In bowling, we have Abby Unson. In ice hockey, we have Brady Knopf and Anthony Colosini. In girls indoor track and field, we have Kiera Hollis and Kira Pellegrino. Boys indoor track and field, we have Calvin Fingler, Brennan Hahn. In girls basketball, we have Miriam Beezum and Tara Eccles. And in boys basketball, Coach Jeff LeFay did a nice job talking about the boys, but he was co-coach of the year as well, which is pretty neat. And Brandon Williams and Devin Payton were named to the AGR, which is huge. So that's a great honor for all the things going on. You know, we always say, coming out of Dr. Irving's office, is that we're building that championship culture. So here we go. Excited tonight that you approved Doug Acker to be our interim director of facilities. He will take over George English as we go through the hiring process to replace him. Doug has been an interim for us before and comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience. I've worked with him previously when I was a teacher, and he was attention to detail and customer service is outstanding. Tonight, we have 2 teachers that were honored by Channel 8 with the Golden Apple Award. Brassard teachers Deb Pendino and Kimberly Zimmer received the honor last Friday, but it's airing tonight, so make sure you check that out. It's pretty neat. One of our children nominated them, and I think it was just really cool that our teachers are being recognized in many ways. The reason Ms. Parado may look a little tired is we are right in the middle of hiring season. She may have set a world record for most speed interviews the other day, along with Dr. Vasquez. They are working overtime to try and improve our district with taking the opportunity where we have openings to bring great people in to work with us. And so the next month or so is our silly season where we have people we're interviewing almost every day in our district. So that's exciting to help our team get better. Next Thursday, you better watch out. It's National Safe Stop Thursday. HPD will be out and about educating motorists about safety around school buses. Please remember, if you see red lights flashing, you need to stop. On the advocacy front, tonight, all board members signed our letter that we are sending out to the New York State Governor, Department of Health, and our Roanoke County Department of Health, advocating for retracting the requirement that while in a red zone, that districts at the secondary level have to have a 6-foot requirement and cohort. Advocating that we have been a low incident rate of COVID throughout this process with the processes that we have for sanitization, and making sure that we take care of things. We have a very low positivity rate, and hopeful that they change this requirement so that we can bring back our 6 through 12. We want them back as well. And we'll continue to advocate at that level. So this will be going out to them as well as our legislators, and every board member did sign this and help create it. We're excited Thursday to have our K through 5 learners return. The administration, faculty, and staff are just ready and thrilled to end the school year with them. Popping into those buildings over the last couple of days, there's great energy in bringing those kids back. And at the secondary level, we continue to advocate at the county and state, trying to get our 6 through 12 back this spring as well. We have submitted the plan and put it on our webpage for them to look at, no one's supposed to approve it for some reason. But we are working alongside other superintendents in Monroe County to get our 6 through 12 back, and we're not going to stop until we can get that done. Last but not least for this evening, we have an award winner here. And she has no clue this is coming, which makes it even better. So, dear Dr. Brown Richards, the New York State School Boards Association recognition program is designed to acknowledge those school board members who strive to continually expand their governance, knowledge, and skills. NYSBA's recognition program is comprised of 4 achievement levels, which are reached by accumulating points for participating in various NYSBA training activities, including state-mandated training workshops, board officers academy, legal workshops, convention-related events, or custom board retreats. For more information on our recognition award program, please see the enclosed brochure. I'll make sure you get that. I would like to congratulate you on having earned a Level 1 Board Achievement Award, which includes a certificate of recognition. A copy of this letter and your awards have been sent directly to the superintendent's office and presented to you at a future board meeting, which is this evening. Congratulations on your achievement, Mary Junaid and Whistle. Congratulations. And that, sir, is my report.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Taylor. Let's see. The next item up is motion to adjourn. Ms. Unson, Dr. Richards, all in favor? The vote is unanimous. We are adjourned.